This is Mikko Rantanen. By all statistical accounts, he has been a top 5 player in the NHL over the last 5 seasons. Only Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Nathan MacKinnon have been more productive. Yet, he just set an NHL record for the most points by a player who's played on 3 teams in one season. That is not a record you want to break. But after not being able to agree on a deal in Colorado, they shipped him off to the Carolina Hurricanes in a deal that shocked everyone. And when Rantanen arrived, he let coach Rod Brind'Amour know that he'd only play for 4 teams, and Carolina wasn't one of them. In just a little over a month, the man has managed to piss off not 1, but 2 entire fan bases, and now people are questioning if he's even worth the $12 million per year price tag that he came with. So what exactly went so wrong in Carolina? Is Dallas truly getting the superstar that instantly made them Cup favorites, or did they make a big mistake? Let's take a deeper look. Heading into this season, Mikko Rantanen was the most prized potential free agent that could maybe hit the market, but no one actually thought he would. The Stanley Cup winner was a staple of a lethal Colorado offense and was a part of a core that is more than ready to win now. But contract talks got muddy, so here's the entire timeline that Pierre LeBrun outlined in his New York Times article. First, it was reported that Colorado's final offer to Rantanen in January was an $11.65 million per year deal on a max term. When Rantanen and his agent said they wouldn't accept and would negotiate in the months ahead leading up to July 1st, the Avs shocked the NHL with a deal to Carolina. Everyone seemed blindsided by this trade, including the Nate Dogg himself, saying that he never would have imagined Rantanen leaving in a million years. Rantanen and his camp were obviously shocked as well. He still had to pack his shit and head to rally. Now from here, Carolina wanted to lock him up. Jaromir Talski looked like he aged 50 years, worrying that he might lose another star player, and so the Hurricanes offered Rantanen a $12.5 million deal on max term as well, with the team also expressing interest to move upward from there if there's genuine interest in negotiating. But again, according to Pierre LeBrun, it was never about money for Rantanen. He just wasn't feeling the fit in Carolina, so with the deadline coming up, Carolina said, screw this, we ain't losing him for nothing, and shipped him off to the Dallas Stars. He signs a 12 times $8 million deal, tax-free, how are ya? And all of a sudden, he's got not 1, but 2 fan bases royally pissed off at his presence. All while his addition has made the Dallas Stars one of the odds-on favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, that's enough drama to have people doubting whether or not he's worth it. People looked at Rantanen's underwhelming 6 points in 13 games as a Hurricane and thought this guy mailed it in or wasn't a good systematic fit. But that's not entirely true. In order to understand what happened on the ice, we got to look at Mikko Rantanen, the player, and what he is at his best. At 6'4", Rantanen is a unicorn player that brings size and elite skill. He's not the fastest skater in the world, but his ability to read and process plays allows him to dictate the game at his pace. In Colorado, he thrived by complementing their speed. Being the fastest team in the league, according to NHL Edge statistics, the Avs can get north really quickly as a team, and Rantanen knew how to leverage it perfectly to slow it down to his pace. This 2-on-2 goal from this season is the best example. Rantanen plays off of MacKinnon's speed, and he's going to defer to Mac, knowing that he's got the pace to drive both defenders back. Rantanen takes a wide route to time his arrival behind MacKinnon as they enter the zone. He takes full advantage of this gap and makes no mistake. On this play against Nashville, Rantanen is going to be well behind the play as Mac drives the middle. His speed forces Nashville to overcollapse, and once again, it's Rantanen's timing and arrival on the puck to be a perfect shooting threat off the stop-up. To play with a player as fast as Nathan MacKinnon, you can't possibly keep up with his raw physical speed, but you have to be able to process the game just as fast as he does. But where Rantanen is at his best is on controlled entries where he can delay and attack east-west to make a play. His last point as an Av is a perfect example. Controlled entry, he delays by going east-west, which forces the D to have to change their speed and close that gap. That's exactly what Mikko wants, and he hits Makar in full stride to expose the speed advantage. At his deadliest, Mikko Rantanen is cooking off the rush. That is somewhat of a stylistic clash with Carolina. For years under Rod Brind'Amour, the Hurricanes have had an identity. They have thrived in a dump-and-chase style of game and have worn down teams by relying on shot volume and puck retrievals. According to our pals at Sport Contract, out of the 3 teams that Rantanen has been involved with, the Hurricanes had the lowest controlled zone entry percentage out of all of them, with it being at 40.5%. Despite this clash and fit, Rantanen was still creating a ton of scoring chances. His underlying numbers, as well as the eye test, indicated that things would have likely turned around. Analytically, this chart by JFresh shows that Rantanen's scoring chances per 60 was actually a lot higher in Carolina than it was in Colorado. And when it comes to the entire NHL, Rantanen ranks second in scoring chances behind his former teammate. The goals didn't come in Carolina, but his process was still there. Away from the puck, watch Rantanen's timing and route on this middle lane drive. He arrives perfectly into the space for the cross-ice option, but unfortunately, he's robbed. That would be a trend in Carolina. He only scored 2 goals as a Carolina Hurricane, and one of them came because of this timing off the rush. As this play develops with Roslovic picking up the puck in his own end, Rantanen is going to take a few hard strides to get himself into the play, but he's in no rush to keep skating north. But he's not that guy to beat his player to the net with speed. So he's going to leverage the speed of Roslovic. And as he attacks the middle, Rantanen follows up into the space, arrives perfectly on time, and hey, there's a goal. On the few times that Rantanen did have a controlled zone entry, he generated solid scoring chances by using his east-west style of attack that we saw him thrive with in Colorado. However, with Carolina's style, his threat off the rush was usually neutralized by a dump in and him having to retrieve. He's got the frame, size, and awareness to still be deadly in this system, but it just takes away from his bread and butter, which is attacking off the rush. Then you have the power play. Rantanen torched teams for years on the right flank in Colorado with the standard 1-3-1 formation. In Carolina, they played that same 1-3-1, but there seemed to be a bit more movement and fluidity amongst all players. Sometimes Rantanen would be the down-low option while Aho slotted in on the right flank. As other options moved around on the ice, Rantanen would be sliding up and down that flank to constantly be a shooting threat. The cross-ice seam play from Aho to Rantanen got some great looks, but again, robbed. Being the elite talent that he is, if the pass or look wasn't in his wheelhouse, he would adjust with a couple of fakes and step in to change the angle. Sometimes she doesn't go, and the frustration builds up. 2 goals on 40 shots in Carolina gave him a shooting percentage of 5%. Considering his career shooting percentage is 16.1%, he went through a dry spell at the worst possible time for Carolina. If the Hurricanes stuck it through, you could see that the Rantanen and Aho connection on the power play specifically would have been deadly. However, the Hurricanes didn't have the luxury of time to wait for him or the numbers to come around, so they shipped him to Dallas, where he's probably going to be a much better fit stylistically. On the power play, it was evident right away. Dallas doesn't have a go-to shooter, so their deadliest looks usually came off this down low and across type of play where they can expose the space in the bumper or find the weak side player on the far post. But with the addition of Rantanen on the right flank, they become far more dynamic. In his debut, he got 2 points on the power play because of his dual threat as a passer and a shooter. Dallas can now hurt teams on a cross-seam pass because they have an all-world finisher taking 1-tees. Off the rush, Dallas is way more of a fit. Their frequency of controlled zone entry closely aligns to that in Colorado. Unlike Carolina, the Stars are just more inclined to hold on to possession with even numbers off the rush. Here, Rantanen has possession with what is a 2-on-2 rush, but he's going to use his frame to go east-west and claim the middle of the ice. This pulls the defender into the middle while opening up a lane for Wyatt Johnson to skate into this puck and enter the zone. The double team creates an opening for Rantanen. He stays at the perfect speed to just stay away from coverage, only to arrive at the perfect time to get robbed again. A player like Roope Hintz will pair really well with Rantanen because of his raw speed and ability to drive back defenses similar to Nathan MacKinnon. They're also both finished too, so that helps. In the O-zone, Rantanen is a far better F2 or F3 than he is in F1. Like I said, he's got the size to disrupt as an F1 and create a chance, but he's the most deadly when he retrieves the puck off the wall and can use his vision to find an option in the slot or a cross-seam pass to the weak side D. That's something we've seen a lot in a very short time that Rantanen has been a star. As he becomes more comfortable, we will see how Dallas will maximize Rantanen's skill set. And if they do, he could be more than worth the price that they paid. Despite all the heat that Rantanen has received over all of this, he could be the very piece that puts the Dallas Stars over the edge. And if things stay the way that they are right now, he would have to go through his old team in the first round to do so. Big shout out to Sport Contract for helping us with the analytics and software for the breakdowns in this video. Let us know what you think about the Rantanen trade and Rantanen as a whole. And if you want some more context behind Mikko Rantanen's game, make sure you check out Big Head Hockey's latest video in our description.